in this video we're going to create a scale that in the radar chart specifically that we can, if you hover over it, you can see here it is becoming the pointer start to change, but also if we click on it we will go here to Google basically, or to a link here matching with that. So if I go here again and I click on Sunday, you will see here eventually information here as well. So this is quite interesting here, and if you click on this here, different websites, different pages in Google. Oh, and of course you can do your own custom links you can put in here, and this is just a sample of it. However, we're going to create here clickable links, and we make sure that we have this hover effect here, so it's clearly that this is a clickable link. So let's explore how to do this. In this video, we're going to focus on one of the viewers' questions, which is how to make a scale clickable in a radar chart in Chartjs. I've got so many questions regarding to clickable scales, and this was always a quite struggle. Eventually, I found a way so far only specifically for the radar chart, and I will make as well for other charts. I'm studying right now how to get that one done as well for the line chart and for the bar chart as well. So let's start working on this. So to do this, we need to go first to get our default code, which is in chartjs3.com, getting started. For some reason I get this message here, you can ignore this. It only happens on my computer, but on my other computer and on Firefox it works fine. So if I go to copy this code here, this is basically the code we need, the default code. And if you want to understand what this code does, please watch this video here. So I'm going to paste this in here. Once I paste this in here, I'm just going to grab the title, put the title in here. Save this, refresh, and now we have a bar chart. What I want to do now is, instead of a bar chart, I would like to convert it into a radar chart. The radar chart is square shaped, so that's why I'm reducing the width, or else we get a too big size chart. Then we scroll down here, and then we select here radar. Once I did this, we can save that. Probably can remove the scales as well, and then it will look more appropriate. There we are. These colors here are all non-needed, or not needed at all. So we can remove all of those. So I'm just going to just remove all these colors here, except for the border color. I want to make this, or background color, I want to make this 0.2 so it's nicely transparent. Save this, refresh, there you are. Alright, so the real challenge here, and this is why it's very, very hard, is to figure out how we can click on this, because basically it cannot recognize these clicks here. Luckily there is a way to do it, and it took some while because we need a function with it together with some other tricks. So the first thing what I want to do here is that we have a hover effect, and the hover effect will eventually convert the mouse cursor into a cursor instead of a default pointer. So, or basically it's a pointer instead of a default cursor what we have. So that's number one. So that would mean that we need to figure out our coordinates where these labels are located, all of those. And when we hover over it, it should know when we are within the reach or within this area, and then it should become clickable. So we have a lot of work to do here. Basically, it's 3 different items we're going to work on. Luckily, if we use one function that can be placed on these 2 parts. So the first one would be the hover effect. Second is the function that recognizes the hover effect, but also will recognize the click effect. And the third part will be the click effect. So let's start and do this. To do this, go up here, and what I'm going to do here is, oh, we don't have to do this yet. That's too fast, sorry. We're going to work here on the options first. So within the options, we have a default command here. It says on hover, and that can be done immediately. We can remove the scales just within the options immediately. And this here, by default, will work only on the chart area, and that was a big struggle, but eventually you can pinpoint specifically what you want by doing this. Basically saying, I would like to have parentheses, and then in here we want to grab the x, comma, y coordinates. Let's put in space here between, and then we say here, comma, we say active hover, so basically where's the mouse cursor, and then on chart. So this is basically our callback function. So within here, let's copy this here. So basically this is the action itself. This is on the chart. So these 2 are the most important to have. But you must have these 2 here, or at least this one here. If not, you will get an error. So let's do a console.log. Say here the x value and the console.log. And we have here the y value. So we will get now the X and Y coordinates. So if I save this here and refresh, open up the developer tab, pay attention here now, look what's happening. We're going to see here exactly, we get all the X and Y coordinates, and as we move over here, we eventually will have something. But right now, it doesn't understand what we do, except it knows the X and Y coordinate. If I go here all to the corner up, here's somewhere, it should be 0 something. Alright, 0, I guess here's somewhere. Anyway, doesn't matter so much here. It's not that important, and I noticed that it doesn't grab this part here. That is a massive problem with this as well because of the chart. Anyway, not important now. For us, this here is fine, but if you want to figure out for the other items, bar chart and line chart, that might be more struggle. But that's my research. Anyway, what I want to do here now, we have the X and Y coordinates. What I also want to do here now is the console log. And this console log, we go into the chart. And basically what we're going to do, we go into the radar chart structure, which is the R for the radius. Right? Or radial, sorry, that's for the radial grid lines. So what we're going to do here is the following. We say chart, because we grab this one here. This is a chart. Then we say dot. And then we say skills. So this here is basically, we are just going in here in the options, in skills, and then we say dot R. The moment we do this, and if I save this now, refresh, open up developer tab, and now if I hover over, you can see here now, it will start to see more information. You get a lot of extra information, and it pinpoints the axis of R, which is correct. We are on the axis of R. It shows here all the information we have here. And what we eventually need here is something very specific. So to do this, we need to go here in the point label items. And there, look at this, you will see here the magic that we need. As you can see here, if I hover over a certain item, it will show basically also these coordinates. Or specifically, if I hover over this item here, what is this label? Let's see if we can find the label name on this one. Which would be, this is basically the first one. So the first one should be here in the point label. Sorry, that's Monday. So that means if we are here up on the Monday, I don't want to scroll down more. If not, I will jump with my console log. I don't want to do that. So if you are on Monday, this is the coordinates. You can see here the X and the Y values. So the X is 200 or 199, which is exactly the center. So the reason why is center, well, I will explain later on. Well, or why? Because the text align is set on center. That's why it's set here. This is the starting point, and this is the center. So left would mean the starting point of the M. So the M is left, which is 188.9. And then you can see here the right side would be about 20 pixels away from each other, which can be. This is just 3 characters, and that's more than common. So this is already the coordinates left and right, sorry. So based on the X values. And then we have here the Y value, which is basically the top value here. So I will not explain too much about chartArea, but if you understand my other video about chartArea, you will understand this. If you don't, please check out the arbitrary line video. That I go very deep in that. And because I do expect in this video that you have this certain knowledge. So basically what we're going to do here is the following. We have here the Y, and you can see here the Y starts at 32, which is correct because the top is 32. And then if it goes down, if you're familiar with the default font size, it should be about 12 or 10 pixels. So that would mean that this should be, the bottom should be approximately 12 pixels. Maybe it's 10 pixels in size, but there's like 2 pixel padding or something like that. Anyway, so you have like these. So then if we go down here, so basically this is 32 here up. So if I scroll down here, this should be here 44. And apparently my console log is not moving, so that's nice. So the left side here is this 188.9, and then the right side here equals 209. So that would mean that if we can compare these values with where our cursor is located, and if we are within this square or this rectangular, based on these numbers here, we should have here now a cursor. That's basically what we're going to do here. And of course later on, with the same coordinates, we can click. If we click within these coordinates that define this square here, then it should redirect us to another page, another link, etc., etc. So let's start to work on this. So now you have this understanding here, but this here, we need to build a whole function for this. And to grab this one specifically, let's do here, we have to go here in the point labels items. So we have here, say dot r, then we say underscore point label, capital L, items. So if I save this now and if I comment this out, you will see we will get now the specific item, if I'm not mistaken, or we get them all, that is fine. Later on we get the index. If we can grab the index of it, we are able to get the specific item. So this is very important. Once we have the index value of this item, for example, for Tuesday, we should get only this coordinate here. Alright, so we have this, you have this understanding here now, so we need to make a function for this. This function basically will check on which index we are located. So basically here, we have the following. We can say let index, because that's the index number we want. And here, we want to create a function. This function, I will move it up at the very top, because we will be using the same function for the click version. So we say here, get label index. And here we're going to use some values or arguments, which is the x, y, and this specific item here, which shows us everything. So that will mean that we need to loop through them later on. So I'm going to show you that later on. So we did this. Let's grab all of this. And this here, what we can do here is basically we can grab the item here. Well, we can just grab this entirely. And then I realize I just need to put only one item here to avoid any mistakes. We can just put it down here. I will say just this, constant. And we say here canvas equals chart. So we make sure we have this one. So this is a object destructuring, and this can be very useful. But why? Sometimes I do not know always why. In this case, there must be something. It's probably pinpointing exactly in the chart itself with the object. So that's why we have this one here, just to make sure that we don't have anything. But probably it's related to when we hover over this. Although it's already working, so not sure if this is absolutely necessary. But I'll just say leave it in here. So now we have this here. And the only thing what I want to do eventually here is to know which index number am I hovering on. So that is the question here. So we cannot do anything here until we figure out this here. And this function answers this question here. So let's start and work on this function here. So I'm going to grab this here, get label index. And what we're going to do here is the following. Is a get the index number of hovered effect. And later on it's not even a hover, it's also on click. But anyway, so we're going to say here the following. We can say here constant get label index equals, and then here we're going to have the items that we want. We have the parameters, so we say x, y, and of course the point labels. And the point labels is just this 7 arrays here, or 7 values, or these elements in this array here. Basically all these, and we're going to work on this here very specifically. So what we're going to do now is the following. So we say here a function expression, because it's a function expression because it has a constant here. And then we say here let index by default equals -1. Why? Means that there's none in this index here. -1 means it's not searchable in the index, or no value exists. So that's why we have this one here, because 0 starts with 0. So we have this one here. This is a default function, meaning that if we hover over a certain item, wait, let me refresh here. If we hover, we don't want this to be triggered unless it is eventually hovered specifically on this item here. So we're going to search for this. So then what we're going to do here is the following. We're going to create a for loop. This for loop will say the following. We say here let I equals 0. And then we say here we're going to loop through this. And what we're going to loop through is basically this here. We want to now loop that wherever our coordinates are hovered are within range of this item here. Is this in range? And we'll loop through every one of these until it finds the range here. And once it gets, it will store that index number, and that index number will be eventually returned here so we can work on it. So what we're going to do here is the following. We say this, we have this here, we say I, loop through the I, and then we say point labels dot length. Why dot length? Because we have 7 items we want to loop through, but we do -1 because an array starts with 0. So the length is 7, but the last value or element or array number is number 6. These are array base, zero-based counting parts. Next, what I want to do here is say I++, and then we grab this here, and then eventually in here we're going to say the following: constant. Then we go break down here. This is again object destructuring, and the object destructuring is basically referred to this here. I want all of these variables here. This variable here is not really necessary because these here is basically the essence of this here. But this one here is the full story, which is basically these rectangulars that you can imagine. This will be a blue line or a blue square. If we draw a blue square like this, would be based on the line's coordinates here. So what we're going to do here is the following. We're going to say here what we want. Let's say what's that? Clockwise, so top, right, bottom, left, and then we say here this equals what exactly? Well, it equals the point labels I. So here, object destructuring, because we want to grab these in our point labels I. Remember, this is the point labels length, but I would be the single item that we loop through. Very important. So then we say here an if statement. And this if statement will just compare our x and y coordinates. If our x and y coordinates are within these coordinates here, it should show a specific index number of which one we are. So basically, if I'm on here, index 1 for Tuesday, this index 0. But if I'm here outside, index -1, meaning non-existent. I cannot find anything. The moment we hit here to a certain point of the pixels that we have within the right side and the basically the coordinates, at that moment it should eventually convert into the pointer cursor. So what we're going to do here is we say x, if x is within the range of left, so basically we are in left, and x would be also within the range of the right side. So range would be this one here. So if left, if I am bigger than left, so basically this would be if x is bigger than left, because the starting point is 188. So here it's smaller than the range. Here we are within range, and then it's bigger. But we have this one. So if it's between these two lines, and of course if we are on the y coordinates equals top, or we are bigger than the top, but we are smaller than bottom, in this case we should show a certain item. We should show here the index equals I. And this would basically mean we're going to then convert this into whatever it is here. And then if we did this, and once we found, so basically if we found this value, because we are looping here through it, but I don't want to loop through it for all 7 values. I only want to loop through it until I found the value. If I found this value, I want to stop immediately this functionality. And I only want to record this one here. So basically if I'm here, for example, on Wednesday, this is 0. It will look here, it says no value, -1. Then it will look to the next one. Here, is it on Tuesday square? It says no, -1. If we are we on the Wednesday? It says yes, we are. And this is value number 2. Number 2, stop this, break immediately the index, or else we will be overriding this, of course. So we break the function, we stop looping now, and then all we want to do here is basically say, return this value. So we say here, return index, and this index would then be whatever would be the item value here, or the iteration value here. If we loop through all 7 and we find nothing, then it will always be -1, meaning no value at all. So do not convert the cursor into a pointer. Very simple. Alright, so I talk a lot about the theory here, so you might understand it. I hope you do. But if you don't worry. Let's look at the end result. That's the most important one. So we're going to go here now. So we get here eventually the specific value. what I can do here now is just console log and say index. And if we save this now, and then let's console log this here, I want to remove this, so save this, refresh. Alright, so we have some issue here. Let me double check, what are we missing here? Let's see, what am I missing here? We have this, we have that, maybe we have space here. 58. Let's save this one more time just to check. Alright, we have this unexpected token on this one here. Right, and alright, issue here. I forgot to put in an X value, and the reason why is because we need to compare which value are we comparing. Sorry. Save this now. Now we should work. Alright. So now you can see here -1, -1. If I hover here, 1. That's fair. 0. -1, -1. Wednesday. Number 2. 3. 4. And then you can see here, if I go out here, it will instantly recognize. It consistently recognize here, and so there we are. Sunday would be number 6. Am I correct? And for some reason Sunday I don't even recognize here, but fair enough. That's alright. We'll look at it later on. Doesn't matter so much. So what we're going to do now is we have this here, and what I want to make sure is now we have this active. So we turn the index, we have this here. What I want to do here is the following. Let's say here if, and this is the if statement. We can compare now. So if index equals strict -1, so that's the default value. In that case, we say canvas.style, and this is basically what we're going to do. Is we're going to use JavaScript, CSS, well, I guess not injection, but we're going to insert it. We insert in the canvas CSS style through JavaScript. So canvas.style. So we say we're going to pinpoint in CSS, and then we say convert the cursor. So we say cursor here. We want to set it to default first. And the reason why default is because this is always the default item. And then what we want to do here is else. And with the else, we're going to say here canvas.style cursor equals pointer. So basically now, if it is -1, which is always basically -1 if you're outside of the area, in that case, default. Else, pointer. So if I save this here now, let's refresh, and now you can see we get a pointer. Do we get here? For some reason Sunday doesn't work. Why exactly? Let me double check here. Am I missing something? Like this. Maybe I can remove this one and then it should work. Let's see. Doesn't matter. Alright, so now it works. I guess I did some comparison incorrectly. So that's the reason why. So you can see here now, this works, Sunday works nicely. And everything is now converting. Beautiful. So we have this here. So that's number 1. Because we have this functionality here, we can now use this functionality as well for the next item. We do it in here. In the options, we have this here. We have this hover section here, which is the callback. We put a comma here. Then we say here on click. On click, we're going to do exactly the same. Except now, what we want to do is create a click effect. Since we have a lot of these same items, we can basically copy a lot of this. So we're going to work on it. We say parentheses and then curly braces. Again, the X and Y coordinates for this, comma, and then we say here active. Instead of active hover, we can call this maybe active click. So when we click on it, in that case, click on where on the chart. Again, callback expression function here. And then we say here the following. Well, what we have here is basically very similar with this one. We need, again, this here. We're going to work with this again. But basically, we're going to say the following. I'm going to say let index equals this specific item here. Copy this here. And once we copy, I guess, this entire code, put it in there. We got that. And here we have again the same item, except now it's slightly different. What we're going to do here is, if it's -1, we want to do absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, or return blank. Alright, so do nothing. And if we do click on it, at that moment what we want to do is we want to now, let's say here, get a constant. And this constant here, or basically we don't need the else, I guess. We can just remove that one. Let's see this here. Or are we having here a overdose of things? Alright, so that's fine. I guess we can maybe remove this. So that's fine. So then we say here constant, and this constant will be the selected or the clicked label. Selected or click label, doesn't matter what you want to call it. Then we say here chart.scales.r. What we're going to do here is, well, let me just show you, because do a console log. So when we click on it, we have this here. What I want to do here is save this first, refresh, click. You can see now, if I click on it, it does something. It recognizes the click. If I click here, what does it recognize as well? If I click on the non-related label part, it doesn't work. But if I click here, it recognizes it. As you can see here, if it's -1, just doesn't allow anything. But if you click on it, on the right location, there it is. So we go in the R, and let me just show you here on this part. So we go here into the chart.scales, chart, scales. There we are. Then we go into the R section or the R object, and then here in the R, what we want to do here is look at this one here with the ticks. No, I don't want the ticks, sorry. I want to get here specific item, which we just had. We had here the point labels. So I don't want the point labels anymore. What I want to do here now, for example, I want to grab here this text. This here is our text, which is the point labels itself. Not the point label item where we indicate the coordinates, but now we have just the text itself, and that's what I want to grab. Then we can say here dot underscore point the labels. So what is that? Point labels. Then of course here we have, if we do this, what happens if you click? You get all of them. So what do we need to grab here is the index. Let's grab the index. Save that, refresh, click, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, etc, etc. Alright, so once we have this here, then you might say, alright, how can I get this? So let's say here, window.open, just to open up a new link. Then we can say here would be, well, we could use here, what is that, the template literals. So I'm using here backticks, so this is template literals. And we can just say here, this is an easy way for concatenation in ES6. http www.google.com/search, and then what we could do here, q, so we're going to basically do a search here, equals, and then here they, and what I'm doing here, I'm just going to do here this space here, and then we say here I'm going to put a variable, and this variable will be the label click. That is this one, and what I need to make sure is this here should be equal to that as well. Or the selected label. Alright, so if I save this now, refresh, and I click on this, I should jump now to Google, and I will search on day Tuesday. Alright, as you can see here, beautiful. So then if I do this, select here, day Sunday, which is also showing here all the matching values here. And of course you can do this with your own item as well, or own website, different items referring to this. But this is right now only on the radar chart. So if you like this video and maybe you want to go even more deeper, you want to explore a bit more other items, maybe you want to make this also clickable or create here something, well, guess what? I have a specific video that shows how to change mouse cursor on hover on the legend in Chartjs. So that's also a nice one that shows that another form of interactivity on the canvas, at least in an intuitive way.